guys, my name is Lauren. Today I'm going to be discussing how a person's environment affects their ability to overcome obstacles. To do this, I'm going to be using evidence from the book The Other Wes Moore. A quote that relates highly to the theme of this presentation, as said by Wes Moore himself: "We will do what others expect of us. At some point, we lose control." Expectations are something that follow the two Wesses throughout their life. Both of them have someone in their lives that has high expectations for them. In the case of Wes Moore, it is his mother. His mother expects him to do well in school, to attend classes, and has a set, strict list of rules that he has to follow. When she finds out that he's not doing as well as he should be doing, she warns him multiple times that she's going to send him away to military school, and he continues acting the way he does. When she finally does send him to military school, though he does have difficulties in the beginning, he realizes that he has a passion for being a part of a team, and this ultimately leads him to his success throughout his life. This quote gives a great explanation of the entire situation. "You are just not working hard enough," my mother said. I knew she was considering sending me away, but I never thought she'd actually do it. The final straw came, and it wasn't pretty. Bad grades, absence from classes, and an incident with a smoke bomb. Welcome to military school. This quote explains some of the bad behavior that Wes was participating in when his mother was informed of his behavior. After finding out about all of these incidents, she decided to send him to military school. This pressure in the form of his mother that was there in his environment throughout his early years was what shaped him into the man he became. His environment allowed him to have a sort of life where he had strict rules that he had to follow. By comparison, the other Wes Moore was not placed in an environment where he was expected to perform at the level that his family members wished he would. Though Tony and his mother wanted him to stay away from drugs and gang violence and all of that, once he got into it, they did not take any measures to get him away from that behavior. They lectured him about it and they told him that's not okay, but they didn't really make an effort other than that to get him away from that environment. This is exhibited by this quote. "That was over $4,000 in drugs," Wes said. Mary was not the least bit concerned about her son's new dilemma. "You will stop selling that stuff. Now get out of my room." Wes was stunned. Next time, he'd be smarter about where he hid the stash. This quote exhibits how, even though Mary scolded him for selling drugs and having drugs in the house, and she got rid of the drugs, Wes didn't care. He was going to continue selling the drugs, he just decided that he would be sneakier about it and more careful. This environment put no pressure on the other Wes to do well and to do what he was supposed to do in life in order to be successful. He was expected by his brother, but his brother did not force him to do it, and his mother did not force him to do it. It was more of a suggestion than him being expected to do something. And that made the difference between him being successful and being able to overcome the obstacles that were drugs and violence. That rather than him being able to say, "No, I'm not going to participate in that. I want to make something of myself, make decent, true money, not doing things that are illegal." This is what made the difference. In the book, Wes does make an effort later on in his life to join the Job Corps and to make honest money and do well, but he experiences challenges as he goes through that, which causes him to go back to drugs and eventually leads him to be convicted of murder with his brother and two other men. This quote gives insight to how he was feeling when he made that choice. And this quote shows that he was not strong enough and did not have the tools to overcome the obstacles that he was experiencing when he was losing money and had stress on him. That is shown here. The pressure was breaking Wes down. Tears welled in Wes's eyes but never fell. Wes held the plastic bag with both hands and poured in 9 ounces of cocaine. The other Wes, is emotional and irrational, and it's exhibited in this quote by the fact that Wes was breaking down, he was crying, and he was emotional. When someone is emotional, they can't make proper decisions. Wes is unable to make this decision because he's not strong enough to overcome the obstacle, which is whether or not he should continue and suffer through the fact that he does not have enough money to provide for all of the things that he has going on right now, and therefore he has to choose between making honest money or selling drugs. This lack of strength to overcome the obstacle is caused by his environment as a child. The lack of rules and structure allowed him to be weak and go for the easier option. In this case, drugs are the easier but worse option. By going back to drugs, he leads himself to failure, which is life in prison without parole. The other Wes's situation exemplifies the idea that a person's environment affects their ability to overcome obstacles. The other Wes's environment had loosely enforced rules which he chose not to follow. This left him without the tools and strength he needed to overcome the obstacles and ultimately led to the failure in his life. If a person grows up in an environment which nurtures the traits that lead to success, they will ultimately be better prepared to overcome obstacles. On the other hand, if they live in or grow up in an environment which gives little guidance or encourages negative behaviors, they will ultimately not have the tools to overcome obstacles and will have a more difficult time becoming successful. In conclusion, one's ability to overcome obstacles is greatly affected by their environment.